Hi, I'm James from Chaosium. I sat down with Lynne Hardy a few weeks ago and we talked about Children of Fear, the new campaign for Call of Cthulhu. I asked Lynne about the evolution of the project and also about how research impacted her work. This clip begins right after I asked Lynne where the journey of writing Children of Fear began. Take a look.
Basically, it was Gen Con in 2015. Moon Design Publications had just taken over Chaosium, and I was working on the Modiphius booth at Gen Con opposite the Chaosium booth. And I meant to go over and say hi, but I do have moments where I'm quite shy, hard as that might to be believed. Um, and Robin Laws, bless him, who I've known for years, took me in hand and route marched me over to talk to the new management team. Even though, I mean, I'd met all of them over the years at various different conventions. And we sat down, and I sat down with Jeff Richard, and we sat and had a chat about the sorts of things that I'd like to do for them. And because I am a glutton for punishment, I volunteered to write a big campaign, having just finished off Shadows of Atlantis for Acton Cthulhu, and it originally was going to be based on a lot of the research on India that I'd done for Shadows of Atlantis that hadn't been used, so sort of southern India. As I was doing the research for it and putting together the pitch, it became very clear that the story wanted to go in a totally different direction, and it was trying to tell me that through the things that the sort of recurring themes that were cropping up. So I stopped fighting it, listened to it, and put together a pitch which Mike and Jeff approved, and then slowly over the years, wrote it, play tested it, added extra bits to it, chopped gigantic lumps out of it. There's 10,000 words got cut out at one point that are hanging around in the ether somewhere that were kind of fun, but not game useful. So you have to get rid of things like that.
Was there anything particularly fascinating that you found out during your research that you completely blindsided you? If you had to think of one or two things that you picked up during the writing process that you'd like to share, can you? Does anything jump to mind?
Oh gosh, you always find fascinating things. I mean, this is it. I mean, and it kind of all went off in, like I said, a completely different direction. I thought it was going to be something in southern India based around. There's a particular tribe where um, there, there's a ritual that they do, and there's very sort of early proto bird type language in there. So I thought it was going to be something about that, which was amazing. Really interesting stuff that these remnants of pre language means of communication, but we threw all of that out because it didn't fit. um no, I mean, there was all the stuff about the mummies in the Tarim desert, in the Taklamakan, all the things that had gone on there, the caves of a thousand Buddhas, the fact that Mark Orlstein found this cave full of these amazing scrolls and statuary and goodness knows what, and just plundered cartloads of it to take back to the British Museum. So much stuff that a lot of it still hasn't even been looked at. Um, just the tales of adventure of people doing really incredibly dangerous things to get into Tibet, which was a closed country at this point in time. The risks that people went to, the tragedy, the number of people who died because they were just determined they were going to get in. Unfortunately, a lot of the time, Christian missionaries attempting to get in there to proselytize and convert the natives. Um, but just like the drive and determination of these people to find new and interesting places that hadn't been seen by the Western world. And of course, you've got Alexandra David Nail, however you pronounce that, I always get it wrong, who was this tremendous French woman who was the first woman to reach Lhasa disguised as a Tibetan nun. And, she was an absolute expert on Tibetan Buddhism, and fascinating creature who just would not take no for an answer and tried multiple times until she finally succeeded. So it was the stories of all these people who, quite often for the worst possible reasons of sort of colonialism and conquest, were just trying to find out about these strange new places. And open them up to the world. And of course, then you've got all the political intrigue in the area, because it's sort of like where the Chinese Empire, the Russian Empire, and the British Empire all clash. So you've got all of the espionage stuff going on there, because Britain at that point is terrified that Russia is going to attempt to invade northern India. China's not very happy because Russia and Britain are posturing to take over land that they think is theirs. So yeah, it's this like real political hot pot area of upheaval and exploration and spying and goodness knows what going on in there. It's a truly fascinating area.